Would you support any state legislative moves to improve police accountability, such as support decertifying officers found guilty of serious misconduct, like if the local level doesn't do their job, to hold them accountable? Well, how would you address conditions, both state and private prisons? Condition concerns. So yeah, so just like, first of all, do you think that we should be talking about those things at the state level, or should those just be left up to the individual municipalities?
The state level definitely, it belongs to the state level. Our prison system definitely does.
Yeah, it does. But like as far as like holding police officers accountable.
Oh, okay. So to the first
question.
You could have pretty extreme cases, but when you get a really bad case, it'll often be picked up by a federal court, if I'm understanding correctly. They already have a system in place for that, which we've seen in the past from some more high-profile, just police brutality, police killings. I don't know if there's a huge need for it right now. I haven't heard of too many in Kansas. We do decently well.
Wichita kills 2 people a year. Yeah, and I feel like that's a high number. Now, I mean, Oklahoma City kills 48 in the same period.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's always worse, but I feel like Derby's killed no one ever. And I know they're a small town and they're a different town, but they're right there. And that police force has never killed anyone ever. And so it's just like, I think that, there are people that want to abolish police or whatever, but I think that people that do care about the institution of law enforcement should care about holding officers accountable, because every time they kill somebody in Wichita, it lowers the trust, and they put all this money into these community policing, and that all goes away because people are immediately out of 7 and scared of cops. And so it's like, and that makes everything dangerous for everybody if and people won't come forward and testify. And so if it is just a few bad apples, they're spoiling the bunch.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't do us any good to just be like, there's not a problem. I love cops. You hate cops if you want to do accountability. And I'm like, I think there's 10% of the world are bad people. At least just not the best people in the world, which means 10% of our police force are bad people, like just statistically. And so, like politics, they go into it for varying reasons, and some of them go into it because they want to have power and a badge and be somebody, But a lot of them do go into it because they want to protect and serve. But so, and it's that 10% that do these things that we hear about and we talk about, and makes a bad name for the entire department. So I think people that care about the institution of law enforcement should also care about getting the bad apples out before they ruin the whole barrel.
Absolutely. There's very specific examples online I could give you of cops who are just not trigger disciplined. They don't have proper training. But to the point in Wichita, they kill 2 people a year. Is that unjustified shootings or justified?
Depends on who you ask, because they have their narrative and then everybody else has their narrative. And
then, I would say,
so it's like,
if it's a violent criminal holding his family hostage, I think that man.
Well, they have actually successfully de-escalated many of those situations recently, and yet still people get killed. I did a whole thing on it. So like, I compared Wichita to Omaha to Des Moines, and I know Des Moines is smaller, but like all the other factors matched, and I was trying to like get 3. Yeah. And I spent a lot of time in all of those cities, so I knew they would be good comparisons. And like Des Moines killed 8 people in the same amount of time that Wichita has killed 28. And then Omaha was up in the 20s too. But their per capita police force is about the same. Omaha spends twice as much money for some reason. Their crime rates really aren't that much different. Their poverty rates really aren't that much different. And so, but Wichita, at least, kills people proportionately with the population. So they're like equal opportunity killers. Whereas there is definitely a clear indication that like it's a much higher percentage of non-white people that are being killed by the cops in Omaha versus, so Wichita, it's because a lot of places there is a racial element to it, but in Wichita, at least statistically, I do not see data to support a racial bias. But I just feel like 2 a year is too many. And like the last one that happened it's a mess. It's a mess. And I think that the way that it's handled afterwards could definitely be fixed and changed as far as how they're allowed to release information. Like they won't release to the public all the information, but they'll release like a snippet that fits their narrative or whatever. So if you can't show me all the body cam footage, then show me none.
That I could be on board with.
Yeah.
Giving more information to the public. I would be more on board with that.
Yeah, either give it us all or don't spin a narrative until you do have the facts.
Right.
So, because they do these press conferences and say things like they're fact, but then they tell, the family or the public, we can't release any of that because it's an ongoing investigation. I'm like, well, you just had like a 10-minute press conference. So, if we could just get them to change that, because the problem is that oftentimes the facts do come out afterwards that it wasn't justified, or the officers, maybe they aren't murderous, but they did not follow protocol and policies. Like this last case, I did a 20-page analysis on it. It's very clear that those officers did not follow their own de-escalation policies. And so, that's a problem. But whether it rises to the level of criminality, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know. But it definitely was seriously, and these officers have been on the force a long time. Mm-hmm. They've had training after retraining after retraining on de-escalation and all these other things. So I don't think it's a training issue. So it's like, what is it? What is it that makes some officers shoot someone seconds after seeing them, and other officers choose to use non-lethal, or they choose to give time and space? There's all this de-escalation criteria. And everyone's just like, well, we need more training. But I don't feel that's the solution, because one of them was a trainer. He was training a trainee that night. And so if that's how the trainer's training people, it's a problem, Yeah. And so, and it's just, I'm trying to get people to understand that my criticisms of the police aren't necessarily me saying I hate the cops or I want to abolish them or ACAT or whatever. It's just like, there's a problem. And I need everybody to see there's a problem so we can all come together and fix the problem.
So the original thing was, should the state legislature step in to do something?
Yeah.
Is there an issue with the city of Wichita not properly looking into it and prosecuting these?
Yeah, they have never, the current DA is the one that ultimately makes that decision. And he has never prosecuted a cop for anything, even when the coroner ruled it a homicide. And then they won the civil case, CJ Clifton, they won $5 million. That's another thing too, the money they're costing. They're costing us about $1 million a year in payouts to people when you average over the last. I just got all that data from them. I'm making things. So if you look at lawsuits and just settlements before they even get to court, it's about $1 million a year that we're spending paying for the police's mistakes. And that's not a small sum of money for a city. So there's just many reasons why we should want to lower those numbers.
Well, I mean, even one death is too many, of course. But it's a scenario that I would have to look into a lot more, case by case, and I would say is likely more easily handled at the city level. For instance, if you voted in a new DA, if that's a huge issue.
No one's run against him. People need to run. But I don't know what the solutions are is the thing, and I want to find a solution, but then you hit a brick wall, because anytime you try to even criticize them, people are like, no, back the blue, and I'm like, I do,
Right.
I don't necessarily back the blue, but I'm saying you can back the blue and then also still want the supposed bad apples, since they're all so good. If people that are claiming that the majority of them are good apples and it's a few outliers, then we should want to hold those outliers accountable. And since there's not that many of them, supposedly, it shouldn't be that big a deal.
I'm in favor of more oversight for sure. More oversight, more information, getting to the public. As far as
we don't even know how many bad apples there are. Is the thing.
Exactly.
We have no idea. We just have to trust the word they investigate themselves. There's two. The sheriff office investigates. The Cedar County Sheriff Office investigates the criminal part, and then an internal people investigate the policy. I would just think to me, it would make logical sense that at least anytime there's an officer involved shooting where there's a fatality, especially, KBI is just brought in, or something at a higher level that's not local, that doesn't, because all these people grew up together. Even the Cedar County Sheriff, they all play baseball teams together, and that's their buddy, that's their friend, and so there's just no way they can do it without bias. There's got to be some other level of mechanism once it gets to that degree, to where it's taken out of the locals' hands.
Yeah, we don't see that issue here, I would not say, but I hope someone in Wichita definitely is passionate about that and looking into that.
I have a whole page called Exposing Wichita. It's me. I'm looking into it. I'm going to look at I only go back to 2011 because I want to get cases that had social media, hopefully. I want to go back and look at all of them. I want to reconstruct the case and look at what was being said on social media, what they released and when, how people were commenting in the comments and talking about the person. There's all sorts of data points I can find on the different cases. I know that they've cost us a lot of money. A lot of money. There's a lot of automobile accidents, destroying property or damaging property, but wrongful death or excessive force. 63% of the money is from killing people, of the pie chart
That they pay out.
that cities paid out, and then there's another 3.2 million that came from an insurance, but just tax dollars. 63% of that 10 million was paid out because they killed people. So it's if you can't care for other reasons, maybe they'll care because they want to raise your sales tax so that they can pay for Wichita Police Department payouts for their mistakes.